Good evening, Bula Vinaka and Namaste. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Tonight, another guest based on a lot of public demand, I must say, that we've got our guest, former World Rugby Sevens and Super Rugby referee, Rasta Rasivhenge. Have I said it correctly, Rasta?
Yes, correct. Thanks. Firstly, thanks for having me here on Straight Talk, Vijay. And I'm looking forward to conversing with you.
Welcome to Fiji, and it's a pleasure to have you in our studios. Many people would have just watched you on TV refereeing the Sevens games mainly, where we would be at the edge of our seats. So definitely they would want to know how you're feeling when you're refereeing Fiji games. We'll talk about that in detail later. But what brings you to Fiji?
Yeah, firstly, it's good to come home. First of all, probably my roots. I'm joking. But anyways, obviously I came here for the Coral Coast Sevens, which is obviously hosted by McDonald's and Jay White and his team. And then I just decided to extend my stay, and I had a couple of projects that I wanted to invest in around the country. So I decided to extend my stay, and it's good to extend my stay in Fiji.
You've been to Kandavu and to some other exotic places, I've heard.
Well, firstly, thanks to the Minister of Women, which is doing a great job, the first president in terms of women representing a union. I got the opportunity through their union, the Kandavu Rugby Union, to go to Kandavu and experience that. And I've just come back from Navua. So the only four places I know is Singatoka, Navua, Kandavu, and obviously Suva.
And you've got a good mate in James Bolombiu, also from Kandavu, connecting with you, former referee.
Yeah, he's a great mate of mine. Obviously, I've refereed a lot around the world with him for the past 10, 15 years. So, we've grown up together, and he's my best mate.
Rasta, some people were asking, they wanted to know about your journey, and we'll start off with you, definitely born in South Africa. If you can share with us about you growing up in South Africa.
Yeah, well, growing up in South Africa, I grew up in a family of 8. And they had all different sports interests. I was the only guy that had rugby interests. And growing up on a farm, up north in Limpopo, it's a little province. We got a little village there. Come from the Venda tribe, and I grew up within that realm, and then obviously moved on within the boarding schools in Johannesburg. Then did my studies, graduated and stuff like that, and obviously jumped onto the bandwagon of refereeing rugby around the world, and then moved to Cape Town. So it's a great journey, and South Africa has been absolutely fantastic in terms of my growth.
We were talking about, of course, that big win with the end of apartheid and South Africa beating the All Blacks to win the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Do you recall, you must have been pretty young, but can you recall how was it for South Africa and for young people who lived there?
Yeah, obviously it was a massive revolution. We're in a period where the country went through a transition. So I was 9 years old when South Africa won their first World Cup, and were incepted back into the World Cup frame. So, it was something special. I mean, the whole country firstly gathered and reunited behind Nelson Mandela. And then obviously with his influence and his motto of sport changing the country, he managed to reunite the country and get all of us together. And it was something remarkable. As a 9-year-old, I remember running around on the streets and celebrating, but I didn't even know what rugby was, but I just ran around because everyone was screaming and celebrating at every television set.
Still later on ran around the rugby field.
Probably that's where it started. So I went and did a bit of research after that. We used to have old VCRs, and it was taped and stuff, so I went and reflected, and I just grew an interest in the sport. And obviously, as a referee, you're an entertainer. And I said, one day I want to be in the middle of 80,000 people and tons of billions of people around the world. So that's where I developed that goal and vision to start the refereeing at a young age.
I like what you said. As a referee, you're an entertainer. If you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, obviously you're an entertainer. You facilitate the game between obviously two teams, and then obviously there's laws and everything, but all eyes are on you. So your decision making has to be accurate, and you're controlling probably millions of people around the world. So as an entertainer, you just got to be good at your job. And your precision has to be great, even though you're going to make mistakes, errors or non-decisions. But being in that realm of being an entertainer is great.
What was your inspiration? You talked a bit about that massive win by South Africa, the first ever World Cup won by them. But what else drove you? Who else drove you to go on this path?
Well, in terms of going into the refereeing path, if I think of people that drove me towards that were people straight after school. Obviously, I was at a boys' school, and it was compulsory to play rugby. And while I was studying my B.Ed degree, I started refereeing to earn a little bit of a buck, for the weekend, doing extra school games and stuff. And I've had different mentors that have just crossed my path, that have managed to influence me to take it up seriously. So I was privileged. Right place, right time, right people, right selectors, right coaches or performance reviewers, and I took my opportunities with both hands.
Let's talk about your journey going into the World Rugby 7 circuit, refereeing those tournaments, and eventually the Super Rugby game, and how that came about.
Yeah, Vijay, it was luck, right place, right time, like I explained. So I was probably, my first game I was refereeing a school game while I was studying in university, and one of the coaches came up to me and tapped me on the back and said, "You're going to make it on the 7th circuit." I never believed him. I thought he was joking around. And by luck, he then said to me, "Listen, I'm inviting you to run a fitness test and do a law exam on the following next Thursday." And I hardly knew the rules, so, but I was fit enough, from my running background. And then I got out there the next Thursday, smashed the fitness test. We used to run, obviously back then, a beep test. Did relatively well in the law test from my plain knowledge the little bit I knew. And then as I graduated within the provincial structure, I then moved on to the academy structure in South Africa that was set up. And then from the academy structure, I got the opportunity to be selected for the national structure. And then from there on, the one day I was refereeing club champs in Cape Town. And my boss back then just said, "Hey, listen, you're going to be a great sevens ref. You're flying to Dubai end of the month." So I laughed again. You know me, I like laughing. But anyways, to the viewers there, that's my personality. But however, then I went to Gold Coast was the first tournament I was nominated for. I flew to the Gold Coast end of 2011, beginning 2012 season.
How did you feel going to your first World Rugby Sevens tournament, HSBC World Rugby Sevens tournament? When you coming into Gold Coast, you had been to Australia already, been to Gold Coast before?
No, it was my first time. So it was the only daunting thing for me, because I used to travel before with other things, was obviously jumping in the deep end, and I had not touched any international games. So, just the first game, I think it was Papua New Guinea against Australia. So only the first 2 minutes I had nerves. After that, I just enjoyed every single second of it.
And then going on to the journey after that?
Yeah, obviously moving on to the journey after that, I developed a lot of goals. I started having an end in mind where I wanted to end. So I worked backwards and I put in a strategy, or a PRDP, personal referee development, or a development plan, or if you want to call it a IPP, which is an individual performance plan. And then I decided I'm going to put those things onto paper. Then I decided to chat to my boss when I got back to South Africa, and then I was rewarded with a lot of tournaments to travel around the world after that.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
I've always resorted to drugs because of the work that I do as a coping mechanism.
You said you started sex work and drugs at the same time?
I was 12 years old.
Do you believe, based on the current situation, your salary and allowances should be reviewed and reduced?
Definitely, I think it should be reviewed to reflect what is there in the market.
Is the government of the day promoting nepotism within our community and hatred towards Indo-Fijians?
Thank you very much. The answer is no.
$1 in $3 of our taxes goes towards servicing our debt. So you can't say it's nothing.
There's also the need to do financial inclusion a bit better.
What is your message to the people who may rate you as not good enough for finals rugby?
Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay and Narayan. Watch it on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
She told me you'll be right. I might call her for the night. Oh no, no stress. VVS. Oh yes.
Wait, where am I?
Oh, you died, bro.
I'm dead? But why?
Gordy, that's what happens when you change your playlist when you're driving?
Crashed.
What? No, this can't be happening. I had so much left to do in life. All I do is stare at my phone because you know I'm Gen Z and we're all anti-social. And I wish I did so much, but... By the way, do you guys have Wi-Fi up here?
This is why you should have listened to F96 Drive. Shouldn't let them play the music.
And you just drive.
No! I can't believe this is happening. It wasn't
When you're
even
done,
my
yeah?
car. I didn't have
Hell
car.
is that way, yeah?
Wait, what?
Get ready to elevate your event with Total Event Company's top-notch gear hire services. From a stunning 12 by 12 meter adjustable stage and impressive 13 by 13 meter production roof, we've got your event covered. Our gear can fit any venue, big or small. Need tents? We offer 3 by 3 meter pagodas, 6 by 3 meter tents, and a grand 15 by 30 meter marquee tent. Turn your vision into reality. Choose Total Event Company for gear that makes your event shine. Visit the Total Event Company Facebook page or dial 3314766 to get in touch with us.
Watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, World Rugby Sevens referee, Super Rugby referee, well-known figure in Fiji, Rasta Rasivhenge. And Rasta, before the break we talked about those tournaments. What are some of those tournaments that stand out for you in the World Rugby Sevens circuit?
Yeah, if we talk about tournaments around the world, there are so many great tournaments. I really loved going to the Pinnacle, which is Hong Kong. Probably that's the best one. That's the home of Sevens Rugby. I've enjoyed tournaments in Twickenham, which is in England. I've enjoyed tournaments back then. It was in Vegas, Vancouver, and even in New Zealand. Wellington was probably one of the best tournaments as well. So, yeah.
Hong Kong Sevens definitely also a happy hunting ground for Fiji. You would have refereed a lot of games with Fiji playing, and Fiji also rates it as the Mecca of Sevens. When you referee Fiji's games, I mean, first you said your first tournament was Gold Coast Sevens, and that's your first World Rugby Sevens tournaments. As you went along, did you realize that how passionate the Fijian fans are?
Yeah, Vijay, you know, I never knew how passionate the Fijian fans were till I got to Hong Kong. That's where I saw millions of Fijians, and it was probably my 6th tournament and my biggest tournament I ever refereed in my first year. And it was something unbelievable, and I'll always reflect back to it. And that game was frenetic because Fiji was on another level. You know, the Fijians are a different beast when they're in Hong Kong. They can't, even if they don't win tournaments leading up to it, when they're in Hong Kong, they're a different animal. And that's where they showcase their true skills in Hong Kong.
Also, refereeing is difficult, knowing that everyone watching wants their team to win. What kind of pressure you under?
Yeah, Vijay, there's a lot of pressure because obviously it's all about decision making and it's split seconds, Vijay. So we train ourselves to handle pressure. One, it's time. Two, it's crowd pressure. Three, it's TV. Four, it's the world. So the pressure is immense, and it's all about putting the right strategies and the correct preparation in order to execute the best possible decisions that are available to you, even though you're always going to make an error or non-decision. I think the public needs to understand we're not perfect. We're always going to make an error or non-decision, but it's under heavy stress and intensity we have to execute those decisions. So the pressure is intense.
Challenging experiences for you, when maybe teams or fans have come straight to you and haven't been too nice?
Yeah, I've had a couple of encounters, Vijay, but I just laugh at them, and sometimes I get a bit of a whack, but yeah, I've had one or two challenging experiences. The biggest one is that you get cyber abuse. So the key, and something I learned through my psychologist, was to not entertain cyber abuse. Social media is pretty dangerous in that. So that's where it gets really derogatory. So I tend to stay away from that. And then in terms of physically, I just had one small encounter where someone just pushed me, but it wasn't, really, really intentional. He was just fired up and intoxicated. But yeah, I think generally people will say what they want to say after the game because they charged up, but it's always good to ignore it. Or just be polite. That's normally what I do. I just laugh at people and just be polite and say, sorry, I'll do better the next time.
Refereeing Fiji games, as we were talking earlier, many people watching tonight would have sworn at you on TV at the edge of the seat when they're watching the game. You would know that already. People will be saying, okay, he's made questionable decisions. You are speaking to the Fiji fans directly from on Straight Talk tonight. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, like I expressed earlier, Vijay, when you referee Fiji games, you've got to be able to adapt to anything at any time. They're so spontaneous the way they play. They don't really play a structured game where it's scripted. So their spontaneity actually requires a skill from the referee to referee. I don't think many referees can referee that type of game when Fiji is on song. It's expect the unexpected, and your intuition has to be really good at that stage.
We'll talk about the Olympic Games in Rio, a memorable one, the first ever gold medal up for grabs in rugby sevens, and Fiji right up there. But tough calls needed to be made in some games, and we needed the referees to be watching those games closely. One was Fiji against New Zealand. Very close game. Yeah. I think the final score was 12 points to 7 with a final penalty and the kick out for touch after an infringement by New Zealand. If you can go back to that close contest, very edge of the seat, watching as viewers, as spectators, but the referee with the whistle had the final say. If we can talk about that.
Yeah, Vijay, if we go through Olympics, and people need to understand the pressures of Olympics, it's once every 4 years, so if you don't make it, if you don't get any gold medal, silver, bronze medal, you've got to wait 4 more years. So the pressure is totally different. So 2016, I got a shot at it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. So they were really tough games. I mean, we saw Fiji, New Zealand quarterfinal I refereed. It was intense from minute 1 right to the end. And that's probably the toughest game to referee, Fiji, New Zealand, in sevens. Then you also had a tough game in the semis where Great Britain toppled South Africa 7-5. That's how intense it was, and Fiji knocked out England as well, I think, in the semis, or Great Britain. No, I can't remember the team that was playing in the other semi. But the intensity is of a different level at the Olympics. It's not like a World Series where they've got time during pool stages or they can accumulate points within the season. Olympics, it's one shot. And I always knew I had one shot to make a decision. And whether it's right or wrong, I've got to execute it with precision and do my best if I've prepared for it. So, that was something different.
To hold back people like Savinatha Rawada in that game.
Yeah, Rawaka was a funny character, but that Fiji-New Zealand is fiery. I can give you plenty of examples leading up to that game. Specifically, I remember a game in Sydney where it was mayhem. They wanted to kill each other, and it was quite funny refereeing the game. It was just physical. Sonny Bull's debut as well. Rawaka was also involved there, and guys like Martha Lathangi were playing. So, it was quite intense, but I had to obviously diffuse the situation in the Olympics, and it was all about common sense in terms of that volatile situation in the Olympics.
Memorable victory for Fiji in the final against Great Britain, and it was a tough one, no doubt, the first ever final that you did. Give highlights of refereeing that game, which will go down in the history books.
Yeah, that game, Vijay, probably changed Fiji and put Fiji on the map because it was their first ever gold medal, in the Olympics. So my most memorable thing about it is when I was appointed to do the game. It was surreal. I pinched myself, I burst into tears. That's the first thing I remember of the game. And when I ran out there, it was just like, violin being played, and Fiji just played rugby. And they just enjoyed themselves because they wanted to do it for the nation. And obviously it was something like 45-7, I think, if I recall, the final score. But every pass stuck. They had not played their final yet. That was their final. I believed while refereeing that game, I could see Great Britain played their final in the semi-final when they beat South Africa, who was loaded with superstars like Cheslin, Colby, De Jong, and all of them. And after the kickoff whistle, you could see that Fiji, that was their final. Every pass stuck. You could see Nakarawa dancing and Koleni Style just, playing the guitar while he was playing. You even saw a guy like Ravovo playing the piano while he was playing. So it was so fantastic to be part of that.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
Ni sambulo binakatare nandreng ngamodengu and VTFM ngono mlitoka ni Mike Randro
sebuta out mama ayaw mikan galon bola how may wish some things kilango bing de miska kana tadina
oi ono no sala de san de miste logo
apa ngor pamoy oi apa ngor ge pamutak tamo ngor ko ni
out do mo tarwego
right
quando mo de que baka iko me lewa
yeah
and vi dam baka na mutai
se bera manta ngi dola lubengu se ruose vida na lubengu ko elo tilo ola sagama de mo la sami kemre mo reni bimbi umai
Nandrenga modengu and VTFM and Beto Corvina Chugane Punjas, proud sponsors of the Fijian Ruango, Mike Randua.
Rock Sabuta Chuma, Yopika Galambula, Namaka.
Okay, set. It's hooked up now.
Are you ready to take your lie detector test? Sit. Ready.
He's lying.
Why are you lying to me? I wouldn't lie to you again.
Liar!
So, I wouldn't lie to you guys, honestly.
Really? Con man.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. I need you to stop all your little silly games and tell me what I want to know. I don't know what you want to know.
Gorim, body bluffing.
You tell me what's the least popular radio station in Fiji.
FM 96. Huh?
Yeah?
You lie.
Share. Eh?
I'ma kick back when you fake like that. I'm a head out of the game, I don't play that back. Would you let me go? No, you never come back. I'ma be that best that you never had. I'ma kick back when you never had.
You're watching Fiji Village Street Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, World Rugby Sevens and Super Rugby referee Rasta Rasivhenge. And Rasta has been talking about his journey, personal journey from starting from South Africa and now ending up here in Fiji. And we'll be talking more about what he plans to do in Fiji, what he's done in Fiji. The Olympic Games over, the Olympic Games in Rio. Then we had Tokyo in difficult circumstances in Japan. You are no longer on the circuit, but if you are to say some things that could be handled better, what would those things be?
Yeah, I think looking at the game, I'm obviously finished refereeing. If there are things that could be handled differently, I think it's the strategies of getting the big unions hosting sevens again, like New Zealand, because that was also one of the pinnacle points of sevens rugby. You know, Wellington, that's what we knew sevens rugby, the big countries, you know. So probably also a change that I would like is for a tournament to come to Fiji. If tournaments can be shared around the world, like Madrid, Perth and stuff, I think it's Fiji's time to get a tournament. So that's one change I would like to see, because this is where the heritage of the real sevens rugby is.
Absolutely. We've had a number of good Fiji international sevens tournaments held here in the past, up to the year 2000. Unfortunately, we had some political upheavals after that, which stopped the tournaments from going ahead here. But no doubt the Fiji Rugby Union, I believe, is trying to get some support, and hopefully you can support Fiji's bid, Rasta.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we'll get behind a lot of things around that. Now that I've been chaotic and lost my passport. I'm joking, everyone. So I'll definitely be behind that, because I believe it's time they get an opportunity to get recognized as an island around the world. I know geographically it's difficult to get here, but yeah, I'll be behind that bid to ensure that one day Fiji does get to host a World Series leg here.
And Rasta, you're doing some work in India as a performance analyst, if you can talk about that.
Yes. Namaste to all the people in Fiji and India. Namaste. So I'm a performance analyst. I live in Kolkata, learning a little bit of Indian, Hindi. And yeah, I work with the national teams as a performance analyst for Rugby India, which is great. So Rahul Bose managed to get me over to India with a great boss named Suruji Ghosh as the general manager. And yeah, they're starting up rugby there, which is great. So the Indian community is trying to develop the game in Asia.
Now, coming back to Fiji, being Olympic champions, we've won it 2 straight Olympic Games, Rio and in Tokyo. At this point in time, no doubt you're following very closely. We've had 17 tournament losses. There's been a lot of concern. A lot of people are starting to sweat on whether we can win that gold medal again. What is your analysis?
Yeah, obviously I've been speaking to a couple of people, and how I've reviewed the game, watching the last two series, or probably the last 2 years of the World Series. In my view, is that Fiji needs to maintain its heritage, the skill, the flair, chaotic rugby where people can't defend. That's when they're at their best. That's Fiji, you know. And we look at some of the players, it's probably also discipline at crucial times in crucial games, you know, as we saw in Perth last week, you know. So a couple of elements that need to be worked on. I know everyone is sweating, and going 17 tournaments without a series leg win is a concern for everyone. So let's get behind Ben Gollings first of all as a nation, and I also feel that when it's time to front up, they'll front up. However, they've got to look at themselves, have introspection with what they really want to do, if they want to do it for the country or if they have other interests. So a lot of self-introspection is needed from the players. And obviously some tactical and technical things need to change for them to get back to the level that they should be and the level they'll win legs. But they still got time before the Olympics in Paris, so I believe they'll do well in Paris.
Do you think we are playing to our strengths?
Analytically, I think the pool is vast because we've got the Ndura, we've got test matches, we've got the sevens, we've got under 20s, and contracts are offered to Fiji players overseas. So if we look at that, Fiji's strengths are obviously size and skill. Analytically, you look at the past teams that have come through the system, it was always size and skill, or flair if you want to call it that. So we'll find the players if they are released from the Ndura, or if we pick up players as the season's going along, but they'll be ready for Olympics 24.
Sometimes indiscipline plays a big part. Yellow cards, red cards a big killer too, but yellow cards in sevens can really kill the game and the opposition has the upper hand. What is your message, because Fiji still seems to have issues in that area as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a yellow card is an Achilles heel. You decapitate the whole team if you get a yellow card, because 7 versus 6, you're chasing shadows over there. So it's very important, for the players to learn discipline. So that is caused by video analysis, introspection of yourself. And that's something that I'll propose that should be incorporated, where players go study themselves thoroughly, not just the team analysis, but individual analysis. And that comes down to ownership. Each player must have that ownership. And then, they will stop causing those silly penalties or overcommitting at the ruck or committing repeated infringements and getting yellow cards. So it's also game awareness and understanding. And those concepts I've described need to be filtered down to the younger players that are playing. So guys that are very disciplined, like Mothalathangi and Nathuku and them, are great players. And the youngsters can learn from them. They know when to do things and when not to do things. So it's important that the young ones do a bit more self-introspection and more video analysis about themselves and teams, and study other teams, because the more rugby knowledge you get by watching, the more you'd execute the correct decision on the field.
You've done some refereeing clinics, I've heard, and I'm interested in the younger players coming up. There's a huge pool of talent here in Fiji. Even from secondary schools rugby, primary schools rugby, on to secondary schools rugby. One of the things is about making sure that they are well versed with the rugby rules. What have you observed so far, and what has to be done?
Yeah, Vijay, it's a great question, and it filters into your previous question about discipline, because they incorporate these habits and take them to the senior structure. So I got the opportunity from the Kandavu Rugby Union to go to Kandavu, and just to facilitate them with a little bit of law knowledge, not just the referees, but the teams that were there, which was the 20s and the senior teams as they were at camp. Going around and helping not just the refs, the teams, the coaches, and the managers makes a huge difference, because the whole system is filtered in one direction. So it's not only about facilitating the referees, because the referees would referee like policemen, but however, the players have also got to understand the law. So going around and doing that for me while I'm on holiday and enjoying it is actually great, to just give back and share a bit of knowledge. So I'll be heading up to Bar this weekend, and a couple of other clubs around the country before they start their 15th season. So hopefully I will get to cover a couple of countries, and also share a couple of PowerPoint presentations and stuff, so they can relook, revisit, implement and apply.
So I heard you've mentioned Kandavu Rugby. You're doing a few things right now in your current stay at the moment?
Yes, Vijay. There's a couple of projects that I'm doing in Fiji. I'm involved with obviously NGOs around the world. So we're looking to invest and help communities to reduce the abuse rate that's happening in the country, you know, especially with women and children. It's important that we put them on a pedestal and we respect them better. So I'm putting a red card to abuse, and that's why I'm going out to all the communities, having talks, trying to elevate, influence, motivate, and change their perspectives in terms of how they see life. I'm not a Nelson Mandela, but I'm going to use sport to influence people, and hopefully people can cut out a lot of the abuse and we can have a happy living island over here.
That's great to hear, because there's a lot of that's needed in terms of people stepping up to the plate and calling it out as it is, and as you said, showing the red card to people and making sure that we reduce and eradicate violence against women and children. Just this week, we've had a horrifying case of a young girl. Matter is before the court. We'll not go into it, but there's a lot of concern about where discipline crosses the line into the area of abuse. Now, and we'd like to ask you that if you have any issues of concern in terms of abuse, you can also contact us and we will take action through Fiji Village Straight Talk. We are here for you in terms of crisis, and we will always ensure that we seek out help for you. On another issue about you enjoying your stay here, you said you've been to Kandavu, and I heard that you were supposed to go a few days ago, so we're lucky to have you for this interview, but then you're staying here longer. Are you planning to settle here?
Yeah, I'll go where the wind takes me. The sun rises and it sets, so I'll follow the sun. Yeah, so basically, I will be here probably next couple of weeks, just waiting for a couple of things. And we'll see how it all pans out, you know. So at the same time, I also need to go back to work in India, but I'll just figure out and navigate the next step, just waiting on a couple of things to happen. And excited to be here. It's a great island. Enjoying every single body on the island.
Last question. A lot of people have been asking me how much kava can Rasta drink from when he started, and on his journey now he's been to Kandavu, he's been around our yellow bucket. So how many bowls can you take now, Rasta?
I'd say on the main island here, Suva and everywhere, I can handle probably 10 bowls of kava. But Kandavu, that's a different level, only 3 or 4. But yeah, Vijay, thanks for having me on the show. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I think you guys are great and sending the right positive messages out there. And yeah, there's nothing better than a place like Fiji, so it's great to be here.
And that's Rasta Rasivhenge here in our beautiful country, trying to make a difference using sport. What better way to do it by coming on Straight Talk and sharing the knowledge as well, and getting you informed. If you see him along the street, say bula to him. He'll be around, coming over to Bar with the Bar Rugby Union and Jeremy Duxbury. So all the best in that area, doing more work with Kandavu Rugby. We welcome that as well, and doing a lot more work in relation to violence against women and children, and we also encourage everyone to fully support that. Until next week, have a great evening.